Imagine holding a book that was once considered sacred, a divine revelation, only to later discover that it had been erased from history. The Bible, as we know it today, is not the full story. Many ancient texts, revered by early believers, mysteriously vanished over time. Some were banned, others were hidden, and a few were even burned. But why? Who had the authority to decide what remained and what was discarded? And more importantly, what secrets were buried along with these forbidden writings? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible. What are they hiding? Throughout history, powerful religious councils, such as the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, played a pivotal role in shaping Christianity. These gatherings weren't just about faith. They were about control, influence, and maintaining a unified doctrine. Books that contradicted official teachings or raised too many uncomfortable questions were swiftly removed. Some scholars argue that the process was not about truth, but about ensuring obedience. After all, if people had access to alternative narratives, how would that impact religious authority? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? But let's pause for a second. Were these texts truly forbidden, or were they simply forgotten? Many of these ancient writings survived in secret, hidden in dusty caves or locked away in private collections. The Dead Sea Scrolls, discovered in the 1940s, contained fragments of long-lost scriptures, challenging everything we thought we knew. What if other powerful texts are still out there, waiting to be uncovered? Could they hold missing pieces of a much greater puzzle? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible. What are they hiding? One of the most famous erased texts is the Book of Enoch, a mysterious account filled with tales of fallen angels, apocalyptic prophecies, and divine secrets. Early Christians once cherished it, but later authorities deemed it too dangerous. Why? Because it described a reality that didn't fit neatly within the established teachings. If these writings were erased, was it to protect the faithful, or to keep them in the dark? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? And then there's the Gospel of Judas, a text that flips everything we thought we knew about Jesus' most infamous disciple. Rather than a villain, Judas is portrayed as a trusted confidant, acting under Jesus' direct orders. If this gospel had remained in the Bible, would our perception of betrayal, redemption, and sacrifice be entirely different? Perhaps history isn't as black and white as we were led to believe. The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? The more we dig, the more we realize that entire chapters of spiritual history have been erased, rewritten, or hidden. The Vatican's secret archives, for instance, contain thousands of ancient documents locked away from public view. What truths are kept within those walls? And if some of these lost texts were suddenly revealed, how would they change our understanding of faith, God, and humanity itself? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? But one of the most chilling erased scriptures is the Apocalypse of Peter. Unlike modern Christian teachings, this book describes an afterlife filled with terrifying punishments and shocking visions. Why was it erased? Did it contradict the idea of divine mercy? Or did it expose something too disturbing for the masses? One thing is certain, the books that were removed tell a story that someone, somewhere, didn't want us to know. And that brings us to the next mystery, the Book of Enoch, the story they didn't want you to know. There exists an ancient text so controversial that it was removed from most versions of the Bible, hidden away like a dangerous secret. The Book of Enoch is no ordinary scripture. It speaks of celestial beings descending to earth, bestowing forbidden knowledge upon humankind. Imagine a time when angels walked among men, not as messengers of peace, but as beings who defied divine law. These angels, known as the Watchers, shared secrets of the universe, astronomy, warfare, magic. But why would such a book, once considered sacred, be erased? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? The story goes that these Watchers fell in love with human women, fathering a race of giants known as the Nephilim. These beings, described as immense and powerful, were said to have brought chaos to the world, corrupting humankind with their influence. According to Enoch, their knowledge was not a gift, but a curse, one that led to destruction. The Great Flood, the one told in Genesis, was supposedly God's way of erasing their existence. But if this story was so crucial, why was it removed? Could it be that the Book of Enoch revealed too much about our origins? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? Enoch himself was no ordinary man. He was said to have been taken directly to heaven, never experiencing death as we know it. His book contains visions of the afterlife, cosmic journeys, and prophecies that describe a final judgment. Some of these ideas parallel Christian teachings, yet others contradict them. If Enoch had been included in the Bible, would our understanding of heaven, hell, and divine justice be completely different? And more importantly, Did religious authorities fear that his words would challenge their teachings? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible. What are they hiding? Another unsettling detail, the Book of Enoch was widely accepted in ancient Jewish and early Christian communities. Even the New Testament makes references to it. The Epistle of Jude directly quotes Enoch, acknowledging its legitimacy. So why did it disappear? Some historians suggest that as Christianity evolved, certain texts were seen as too radical, too mystical, too dangerous. If people had access to Enoch's teachings, would they start questioning official doctrine? Would they see the divine hierarchy in a completely different way? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? What makes this book even more intriguing is its detailed description of the apocalypse. It speaks of a day when hidden truths will be revealed, when the righteous will be separated from the wicked, and when ancient secrets will come to light. Could it be that this book was erased because it foretold something religious leaders didn't want the masses to know? Was it a warning, a prophecy, or a suppressed truth about the fate of the world? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? Today, the Book of Enoch survives, but only in select religious traditions. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, for example, still considers it a part of their biblical canon. But in most parts of the world, it remains an obscure relic of the past, locked away from mainstream religious teachings. Could its removal have been a deliberate act to control knowledge, to keep humanity from asking the wrong questions? If the Watchers were real, what else could be hidden in ancient texts that we were never meant to see? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? And that leads us to another missing piece of history, one that could completely rewrite what we know about Jesus himself. Because if the Book of Enoch was erased for revealing too much about angels, what happens when a text challenges the very foundation of Christianity? The Gospel of Judas might hold the answer. The Gospel of Judas, a different version of history. What if one of the most infamous betrayals in history wasn't a betrayal at all? The Gospel of Judas is a lost manuscript that presents a version of events so shocking that it was declared heretical and buried for centuries. In this text, Judas Iscariot is not the villain we all know. He is, instead, Jesus' closest and most trusted disciple. Imagine that. The man who has been condemned for over 2,000 years as a traitor may have actually been following divine orders. If this is true, then everything we thought we knew about Christianity's foundation is wrong. The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? Unlike the four Gospels in the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, this Gospel presents a radically different perspective. It suggests that Jesus secretly told Judas to turn him over to the authorities, not out of betrayal, but as part of a divine plan. According to this text, Judas was the only disciple who truly understood Jesus' mission. The others were blind to the deeper truths. But why would religious leaders want to erase a story like this? Could it be that it undermined their control over the narrative of good versus evil? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? Think about it. Christianity is built on the idea that Judas's betrayal led to Jesus' crucifixion, which in turn led to the resurrection and salvation of humanity. But if Judas was simply following orders, does that mean he was actually a hero? If this gospel had remained part of the Bible, how would it have changed the way people view sin, redemption, and destiny? Would it have made people question the rigid lines between good and evil, forcing them to see a more complex, morally ambiguous truth? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? This lost gospel, believed to have been written around the 2nd century AD, was hidden away for nearly 1,700 years before it was rediscovered in Egypt in the 1970s. But even then, its existence was kept in the shadows. It wasn't until 2006 that it was finally translated and revealed to the public. The question is, why did it take so long? Was there resistance to allowing people to read and interpret this alternative version of Jesus' story? Or was it simply considered too dangerous for mainstream Christianity? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? Another controversial aspect of this gospel is that it portrays Jesus speaking about secret knowledge. Esoteric wisdom meant only for the few who could understand it. If true, this suggests that early Christianity may have had a mystical, almost hidden side, where salvation was not just about faith, but about deeper understanding. This aligns with other lost gospels and Gnostic teachings, which emphasize knowledge over blind belief. Could this have been why the Gospel of Judas was erased? Because it encouraged people to seek wisdom beyond the church's control? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? Of course, many scholars and religious leaders reject this gospel outright. calling it a distortion, a fabrication by a fringe group of early Christians. But let's not forget, history is written by those in power. The fact that this gospel was destroyed, banned, and hidden for so long only raises more questions. What if there were even more texts like this, presenting alternative versions of religious history? And if those texts were also erased, what does that say about the version of history we've been given? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? If the Gospel of Judas was removed because it challenged the story of Jesus, what about texts that challenged our understanding of the afterlife? One lost book claims to describe heaven and hell in ways that are far more terrifying than what modern Christianity teaches. And the deeper we go, the darker the truth becomes. The Apocalypse of Peter, a disturbing vision of the afterlife. What if everything you thought you knew about heaven and hell was wrong? The Apocalypse of Peter, a lost book once considered for inclusion in the New Testament, paints a terrifyingly detailed picture of the afterlife, one far more graphic than what most modern Christians are familiar with. In this forgotten text, sinners endure horrific punishments tailored to their crimes, suffering in ways that make Dante's Inferno seem mild. But here's the real question. Why was this book erased? Did it contradict the more merciful version of judgment that the church wanted to promote? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? Unlike the vague descriptions of hell found in the Bible, the Apocalypse of Peter describes brutal and grotesque punishments. Those who committed murder are burned alive, their flesh constantly regenerating so their suffering never ends. Blasphemers have their tongues torn out again and again. Adulterers are hung by their hair over scorching flames. It's a vision of the afterlife so extreme that it raises an uncomfortable question. Was this book erased because it was too terrifying for believers to handle? Or was it removed because it didn't align with the church's teachings of divine forgiveness? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? This lost book also contains a striking vision of heaven, describing paradise in vivid detail. The righteous live in a land of eternal light, surrounded by angelic beings, basking in divine love. However, there's a twist. Jesus is said to personally show Peter the torments of hell, making it clear that sinners face eternal suffering. This contradicts later teachings that emphasize God's mercy and the possibility of redemption. If this book had been included in the Bible, would Christianity have taken a darker, more fear-driven path? Would believers have lived in constant terror of sinning? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? There's also another mystery. The Apocalypse of Peter was widely accepted by early Christians. It was even mentioned in church writings from the 2nd century, alongside books that made it into the final version of the New Testament. So, why was it eventually banned? Some scholars believe that its vivid descriptions of hell were simply too extreme, too gruesome. Others think that religious leaders feared that such a terrifying portrayal of divine punishment would drive people away from the faith rather than toward it. The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? But here's something even more intriguing. There are two versions of this text, one with harsher depictions of judgment and another with a more hopeful message. In one version, Jesus hints at the possibility of mercy, suggesting that the torments of hell may not be eternal. Could this have been a reason for its removal? If this idea had spread, would it have changed how Christians viewed salvation, repentance, and divine justice? And if hell was not truly eternal, what power would the church have held over people's fears? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? Even today, the concept of hell remains one of the most debated topics in theology. Some believe in eternal damnation, while others argue for a more symbolic interpretation of punishment. But the Apocalypse of Peter offers a glimpse into an ancient version of Christianity that was far more visual, far more terrifying. If this book had remained, would our modern understanding of the afterlife be completely different? And if this text was erased, what other secrets about heaven and hell might still be hidden? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? But the mysteries don't stop here. What if Jesus himself had secret teachings that were never meant for the masses? A mysterious lost gospel hints at just that. Esoteric knowledge that only a select few were allowed to understand. And as we dig deeper, we find a text so controversial that some claim it was destroyed on purpose. The secret Gospel of Mark, a hidden message? What if Jesus had teachings so secret, so controversial, that they were only meant for a select few? The secret Gospel of Mark is one of the most mysterious erased texts, rumored to contain hidden lessons that never made it into the Bible. Some believe it was an early Christian attempt to preserve deeper spiritual truths, while others suggest it was deliberately destroyed to prevent the public from accessing its revelations. But what exactly did this lost gospel contain? And why would it be erased unless it threatened everything we thought we knew? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? This lost gospel was first mentioned in a letter attributed to Clement of Alexandria, a respected early Christian scholar. In this letter, Clement describes a more spiritual version of the Gospel of Mark, meant only for those who were ready to understand its deeper meanings. He claims that Jesus himself initiated certain disciples into secret teachings, mystical wisdom that was never shared with the masses. If true, this would mean that Christianity once had an esoteric side, where knowledge, rather than faith alone, was the key to salvation. But why was this hidden gospel erased? Did it challenge the idea that Christianity should be open to everyone, not just a select few? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? One of the most controversial aspects of the secret Gospel of Mark is that it allegedly contains passages that hint at secret initiations. Some scholars believe these initiations involve mystical experiences, while others claim they suggest something even more shocking, events that could have redefined how we see Jesus' relationship with his disciples. If this gospel contained teachings that didn't align with later church doctrine, it's no surprise it was erased. But does that mean its teachings were false, or just too dangerous to be widely known? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? The authenticity of the secret Gospel of Mark is still debated, and for good reason. The only evidence of its existence comes from Clement's letter, which was discovered in the 20th century and later mysteriously disappeared. Some believe it was deliberately suppressed. Others think it was a modern forgery. But if it was real, then its sudden disappearance raises even more questions. Was it destroyed to keep its secrets buried forever? Could there be copies hidden away in private collections or locked deep within religious archives? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? Even if we never recover the full text, the very idea of a secret gospel challenges everything we assume about Christianity. Were there really two versions of Jesus' teachings? One for the public and one for the initiated? If so, what was in the hidden version? Could it have contained lost wisdom about the nature of God, the universe, or even human potential? The possibility alone is enough to make us question how much of religious history has been carefully curated, with only the acceptable parts left for us to read. The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? And this isn't the only case of hidden knowledge in religious history. There are entire libraries of ancient texts that the public has never seen, locked away in one of the most secretive places on earth, the Vatican archives. What secrets are being protected there? And could they contain more lost scriptures that completely rewrite everything we know? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? The deeper we go, the more it becomes clear. History has been carefully edited, but the real question is, what were they trying to hide? The Vatican's forbidden archives, what else are they hiding? Imagine a library so vast, so secretive, that only a handful of people in the world are allowed to access it. Hidden beneath Vatican City, locked behind heavy doors, lies one of the most mysterious collections of ancient texts ever assembled, the Vatican Secret Archives. These documents span centuries, containing lost gospels, historical records, and perhaps even texts that were erased from the Bible itself. But why are so many of these writings kept from the public eye? What knowledge is too dangerous to reveal? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? Officially, the Vatican claims these archives are restricted for preservation purposes and to protect sensitive church records. But some researchers believe that among the thousands of manuscripts locked away, there could be ancient scriptures that contradict the accepted versions of religious history. What if hidden within these archives are lost books that reveal a different story about Jesus, the apostles, or even the origins of Christianity itself? Could there be evidence of alternative teachings, forgotten prophecies, or even messages from civilizations long gone? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? One of the most intriguing theories is that the Vatican possesses documents proving that early Christianity was far more diverse than what we've been told. Before the Church solidified its teachings, countless groups had different interpretations of Jesus' message. Some believed in reincarnation, others saw Jesus not as the Son of God, but as a great teacher with esoteric wisdom. Could there be hidden scrolls that reveal a version of Christianity that was erased to maintain unity and control? And if those scrolls still exist, why are they hidden away? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? The Vatican archives are also rumored to contain apocalyptic prophecies that have never been shared with the public. Some believe that texts like the Apocalypse of Peter, which describes a terrifying vision of the afterlife, are kept secret to prevent mass hysteria. Others claim there are suppressed writings that predict catastrophic events, celestial warnings, or knowledge about the true nature of the divine. If any of this is true, does that mean the Church is protecting humanity from dangerous truths, or simply keeping its own power intact? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? And then there are the more extreme theories, whispers of ancient extraterrestrial contact, lost technologies, and even connections between the Bible and civilizations that existed long before recorded history. Some believe that the Vatican holds documents that challenge the very foundations of our understanding of human origins. Could there be scrolls detailing knowledge passed down from beings not of this world? Could the erased texts contain insights about who we really are and where we truly come from? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? While the Vatican remains silent, the secrecy itself fuels speculation. If there was truly nothing to hide, why not open the archives to independent scholars and let the world see for itself? The fact that access is so tightly controlled only raises more questions. Are we being kept from the truth? And if so, what would happen if these forbidden texts were finally revealed? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? But perhaps the biggest question of all is this: if these texts were erased, was it for our protection, or was it to control what we believe? If so much of history has been carefully edited, what else don't we know? And could the real truth be something far more shocking than we ever imagined? What's the truth? If these ancient texts were erased, we have to ask, was it done to protect humanity or to control it? Were these writings too dangerous, revealing secrets we were never meant to know? Or did they contain knowledge so powerful that it could have changed the course of history itself? The deeper we dig, the clearer it becomes. What we think we know about religion, history, and even our own existence has been carefully curated. But the real question remains: what was so important, so shocking, that it had to be erased? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? Think about it. If the Book of Enoch had stayed in the Bible, would we have a completely different understanding of angels, divine justice, and even human origins? If the Gospel of Judas had never been erased, would Christianity look entirely different today? If the Vatican's archives were open to the world, what lost knowledge would come to light? These aren't just hypothetical questions. They force us to rethink everything we've been told about faith, power, and truth. The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? But maybe that's exactly why these texts were erased. Knowledge is power, and those in control of history knew this all too well. If people had access to different versions of religious truth, they might start asking the wrong questions. They might start looking beyond the official narrative. And once that door is open, it's nearly impossible to close. Could that be why these texts were hidden away? Because they encouraged independent thought, questioning, and deeper understanding? The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? And now, the mystery is in your hands. Which of these lost books do you find the most shocking? Do you think the truth is still hidden, locked away in secret archives? Or do you believe there's even more out there? Texts that could completely rewrite history if they were ever revealed? Let me know in the comments. Your perspective is just as important as any ancient manuscript. The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? One thing is certain. History is full of gaps, missing pieces of a puzzle that we may never fully complete. But that doesn't mean we should stop searching. If knowledge is being kept from us, we have to ask why. And if there are secrets still buried, maybe it's time to start digging. The truth may be out there, waiting for those who are willing to see beyond what they were told. The forbidden texts that were erased from the Bible, what are they hiding? If you want to uncover more forbidden history and hidden truths, subscribe now and join me on this journey into the unknown. Turn on notifications so you never miss an episode, because the deeper we go, the more mysteries we'll uncover together.